Hello everybody, my name is James, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about the situation facing Red Bull following the Bahrain Grand Prix, as well as a disqualification announcement. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Formula 1 content. Also make sure to follow me on X at James's Pit Lane, I'll leave a link in the description. But let's jump straight into the video. So I thought I'd start off by talking about George Russell, who managed to keep his second place in the Bahrain Grand Prix. As we know, Russell finished P2 after a brilliant drive holding off Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, but he was under investigation following the race for improper use of DRS. Basically, his DRS opened in the closing stages of the Grand Prix, despite the car not being within 1 second of the car ahead. And Russell explained after the race that the DRS suddenly opened when he pressed the radio button on his steering wheel while battling brake-by-wire issues and other electronic issues. But the stewards did accept that the improper use of DRS was not deliberate and was outside of the driver and team's control. And on top of that, when Russell noticed the flap was open, he immediately closed it and lifted off the throttle and felt this actually cost him time and did not gain him anything. And the steward said the DRS was acted for 37 metres of the approximately 700 metres straight. That gained him 0.02 seconds, but Russell lifted and gave up 0.28 seconds to compensate. So I think it's a fair enough verdict. You know, Russell did not gain anything with the use of DRS there. It was a complete accident. It was a complete mistake. He didn't mean to do it. And yeah, I think a fair verdict has been reached there. But there was a disqualification from the Bahrain Grand Prix, and that was Nico Hulkenberg, and he was disqualified for a skid block breach. Basically, in a report from FIA F1 technical delegate Joe Bauer, it was confirmed that Hulkenberg's rearmost skid came in under the minimum thickness required within the technical regulations. The note said measurements were taken along the stiffness compliant area at 3 different points of the periphery. The recorded measurement were 8.4mm left hand side, 8.5mm car centerline, and 8.4mm right hand side. And as this was below the 9mm minimum thickness required by the FIA, Hulkenberg was disqualified from the Bahrain Grand Prix. Now, there's no getting around that. That's 100% a disqualification. The car has to be completely compliant with the technical rules. If they're not, you're going to get disqualified. And this incident is very similar to what happened to Lewis Hamilton in China. Hamilton had a skid block breach. There was too much skid wear on his car. It didn't meet the minimum thickness required. And as a result, Hamilton was disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix. But let's move on to Red Bull, who had an absolute disaster at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The pace just hasn't been there for them all weekend, and in the Grand Prix, they could not move up the field at all. You know, the pace was not there. There were brake issues. The pit stops were longer than they should have been due to a light issue. It was just rubbish. And at one point, Verstappen was running last. It was really, really bad. And we saw when he went onto the hard tyres, he couldn't even get past Esteban Ocon, who was on much older tyres. And speaking about it, Verstappen said, "It's of course not what we want, but it's just where we are at with our car and the tyre behaviour that we have with the car. Everything is just highlighted even more on a track like this." The only positive really then to take from this Grand Prix is that both drivers managed to finish in the points. Verstappen managed to rescue a P6, and Yuki Tsunoda, I think, pulled off a really good drive in that second Red Bull seat and got the car into P9. The first time the second Red Bull car has finished in the points this season. But still, though, the pace just was not there for Red Bull, and they're never going to be able to fight for the title like this. They just can't. And according to motorsport.com, Red Bull held a meeting with its key personnel at the track to figure out its next steps, with attendees including team boss Christian Horner, advisor Helmut Marko, technical director Pierre Wache, and chief engineer Paul Monahan. So basically, it looks like Red Bull were holding some crisis talks there, and just speaking about Red Bull's performance in general, Marko said, as quoted by motorsport.com, "It's a very difficult day for Red Bull. That's obvious to all of us. We have to get, as soon as possible, performance in the car again, and also standards like a pit stop have to work. The car is not the fastest, and then the pit stops are not working. That is not acceptable. We know that we're not competitive, and there will be parts coming in the coming races, and hopefully they bring improvement. We have a lot of problems. The main problem is balance and grip, and out of this, So I guess the problems with the brakes came up, and then the normal procedure like a pit stop is not working, so one issue comes after the other. So Red Bull are in a very difficult place at the moment, but do you think they can improve? Let me know in the comments below. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care. Bye.